Hey, Pat, I'm glad you're here so we can talk about something that we get questions on from time to time in the catalyst world, and that is catalyst deactivation. Specifically, I want to ask you about copper catalysts in syngas plants. So that could be in an ammonia plant, the LTS catalyst, or in a methanol plant, the methanol synthesis catalyst.
Yeah, hi Karen. Glad to be back. And this is actually something I'm helping some of my customers troubleshoot right now. So fresh in my mind, and I'm glad you've identified the low temperature shift in methanol because the copper catalyst can be pretty sensitive.
So what if a customer comes to ask you something, ask you about deactivation? I like to simplify things. So how do they first know that they're seeing catalyst deactivation, or what would they look for?
So in an ammonia plant, where I spend most of my time, the low temperature shift or LTS reactor has TIs that are going down through the bed. And the water gas shift reaction is an exothermic reaction. So we expect the inlet to be the coldest point of the reactor. If you see that the TIs through the bed are starting to fall off and come back down closer to that inlet temperature faster than you would normally expect through your normal standard operation, then that's a sign that you might be having some more deactivation than standardly expected. In a methanol reactor where you don't have those TIs going through the bed, you might just see something like a loss of production.
Okay, so if you see deactivation, or you've established that you have deactivation either through a loss in exotherm or other operating parameters, what is the first contaminant that we usually recommend that people check for?
So the first contaminant that most people should look for is sulfur. That's something that's coming into most syngas plants through the feed gas on a regular basis. And your desulfurization section will usually allow a tiny amount to slip through, but you're looking for something more than that standard amount.
And so in this feed pretreatment section or desulfurization section where we're trying to take out the sulfur, how do you know that that section's operating correctly?
Yeah, so the couple things we can check there. The first is just making sure that the catalysts are not getting too old and that the replacement schedule has been kept up, because these catalysts don't last forever, even though they're not really getting poisoned by the sulfur. We're also going to make sure that the catalyst is at the proper temperatures to achieve the reactions, and that there's enough hydrogen recycle coming back to fully treat all of the organic sulfurs that are coming in.
Is there anything else that people are looking into in feed pretreatment sections at all to keep getting rid of
Sure.
sulfur?
Yeah, so there's also deep desulfurization catalysts that you can place in your desulfurization section. It's not really all that common in ammonia plants at the time, but I believe that it's a little bit more common in methanol plants. This is another copper catalyst that you put as a sacrificial layer in your desulfurization section. And while it's somewhat expensive to have a copper catalyst that you're purposefully sacrificing, it's a lot easier to sacrifice that layer and replace it on a schedule, as opposed to having your low temperature shift or methanol reactor need to be completely replaced.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that deep desulfurization is something that is becoming more common in the methanol world, but still not something that a majority of people are using quite yet. So this is great information. I do have more questions about other contaminants, specifically chlorides, but I feel like we're kind of running short on time. So we'll save that for another discussion. And I really appreciate the time talking about deactivation, copper catalyst in syngas plants, and sulfur specifically.
Great. Thanks for having me on. See you
Thanks,
again
Pat.
soon.